talk about something that I'm sure we've all experienced at one point or another. I know I certainly have, but it's that hangry feeling, that hunger, and from that hunger caused you to be angry. So, to discuss that tonight, we want to talk about how can we fight that feeling, and is that really is it hangry being a real thing? And why does that happen? And then I'll give some time for Q&A if we have any at the end. And that doesn't have to pertain to just this stuff, but any health, fitness, nutrition stuff in general. So before we dive into it, I want to go into just a quick recap of last week. I like to do a recap. We talked about veggies last week. We talked about the benefits of them, providing the micronutrients that provide a bunch of functions for us, specifically helping heart health, the immune system, bone health, reducing inflammation. We talked about the different variety of veggies in colors, where each color has its own benefit that it'll provide you. Again, from immune system boosting to reducing inflammation. Talk about how much should we eat, and that most people don't actually eat enough. So talking 5 servings a day, that's about a cup or two. You don't have to get anything crazy, but really the focus is, since most people don't get as much as they should, how can we just do better than we are doing? So don't go from 0 to 5 servings because you're going to overwhelm yourself. You're going to make it more complicated than it needs to be. If you don't get any, how can we add in just a little bit and do that consistently for a little while, and then add it to another meal, and then add it as a snack, and so on, to get up slowly to those 5 servings. And then we talked about how we can start implementing that. How can we start doing things to eat more veggies, and what's the easiest way to do that? A lot of the reasons people don't eat enough is because they don't like the taste, they don't like the texture, they're, boring, all that stuff. They're pretty flavorless for the most part. So I get that, but how can we eat more? Hiding them in something. So making like an egg bake where you chop up some onions and some peppers and some tomatoes and toss something in there, right? You can't really taste them at that point. It's just eggs. You probably, at least if you're like me, load it up with ketchup, and really it's eggs and ketchup is all you taste, but you get the veggie added in there. Season them differently. So we like to do green beans in the air fryer, put some everything seasoning on top of it, air fry it, toss some oil on it, whatever way you can season it, cook them different ways, air fry them, oven bake them, steam them, dip them in sauces if you need to, right? I think it's like, oh, well, I shouldn't have barbecue sauce because that's not good for me because it's a bunch of carbs and sugars and all that stuff. But if it's going to let you eat your veggies, then I think we can go and make that step in the right direction. It's better to have some veggies with like Chick-fil-A sauce or whatever that might be than to not have any at all. So that was our quick recap. You can watch all of that video back on the link that I'll send out, or on the YouTube channel as well. So you can always watch that whole thing. Again, try to keep these 15 to 20 minutes so they're digestible. So back to hanger, or hangry, being hangry. So that hunger, and that hunger is causing that anger. So I'm sure at some point you've run into a time where purposefully or unintentionally you've skipped a meal or two, right? You get into work, things getting crazy, you got meetings and calls and all that stuff, and next thing you know, it's 2 or 3 o'clock, and you haven't eaten since breakfast, if you even ate then, and you start to realize I'm starving, but also I'm a little more irritable. I'm a little more moody. Somebody says something, whether it's a significant other, a coworker, that normally wouldn't bother you, but just really ticks you off. And so I think we've all come to know the term hangry, where that's just you being reactive because you're hungry. And I think Snickers is the one that has the commercial where, somebody's being kind of a diva or being real moody and all that stuff, and they said, "Oh, you just need a Snickers bar." They eat it, and then all of a sudden they're back to them normal selves. So Snickers is probably not the best choice, but they kind of play on that hangry kind of thought feeling term. So before we dive into how to fight that, is it really a thing, right? It might just kind of seem like the perception thing, but is it real? And the answer really is yes, it is. And researchers did take some time. There was a study done over 3 weeks where 5 times throughout the day, they would have a notification get sent to the participant's phone, and the person would kind of take a poll or take a survey on how their emotions were, like how they were feeling at the time of the notification. And they strategically placed it so 3 of those were right before somebody's typical meal time, so before breakfast, before lunch, and before dinner. And overall, 50% of the people found that those 3 times before the meals, they were more irritable. They were sometimes more angry, and kind of felt different types of negative feelings at those times. So, 50% of the participants in this study, it wasn't a massive study, but it was big enough to say, like, okay, this is a real thing and not just a perceived thing or a fun social media thing that somebody said one time and kind of build itself up. So it shows that this hunger can really impact our emotions, our thoughts, and really create negative things around us. And I'm sure at some point you've either experienced a spouse or significant other feeling those feelings, or you've had those feelings and spouse has been like, "Yo, chill out. Like maybe you should just go eat something." And to add on top of that, another thing that I heard is the acronym HALT. So it's hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Whenever you're feeling yourself or noticing negative emotions or really strong emotions, I mean, that could be negative or positive, think through halt. Am I hungry? All right. Why am I angry? Is it because I'm lonely? Or is it because I'm tired? Or is it because I'm hungry? So kind of thinking through all of those things. And, it typically, if you're not hungry, okay, cool. Am I just lonely? Do I need to go hang out with somebody? Do I go talk to somebody? Or am I tired? Do I need to take a nap? So, HALT is a nice, quick little acronym that I like to do where I sit back and go, why am I being so moody? And it usually helps. It's usually one of those 3 things. So now that we've talked about what it is and if it's real, let's talk about why it happens. So this picture, might look at it. I just ate before I hopped on here, but looking at the burgers and the pizza and the French fries, it instantly still makes me hungry. I want to eat. And so there's a difference between appetite and being hungry. So appetite comes from a desire to eat, and that's really ingrained from us from evolution. So 200 years ago, it wasn't as easy to just order on your phone and get something delivered or go to the grocery store and pick up a bunch of food. So when it was feast or famine back then. So our appetite, whenever there was, a big meal coming, it was just like, just eat, 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 eat as much as we can because we don't know when we're going to be able to do that again. So that emotion kind of gets triggered when you smell, right, something, or, drive by a restaurant and you smell the greasy exhaust, it makes you hungry. So that's appetite. That's the desire to eat. But really, our hunger is our body saying it needs nutrients. It needs something to fuel itself from this point forward. So when we talk about hunger, there's a hormone called ghrelin, which creates that hunger feeling. And the only way to lower that is to start eating food. So the ghrelin just says, hey, I'm ready to eat. I need to eat something. It wants to digest food. And that's why your stomach starts growling, because the ghrelin starts coming up. Once you start eating, the other hormone comes in called leptin, which lowers that hunger. It increases your amount of being full, your feeling of full. So those two kind of help balance each other, and those hormones are at play. So now we talked about hunger, we talked about appetite, what the difference is. So let's talk into how can we fight that hangry feeling. So the first one, and the most important one, I did a whole nother 20-minute talk on this, is protein and prioritizing that. So a couple reasons for protein. So first off, it helps rebuild muscles. It helps with hormone regulation, which again, that leptin, ghrelin hormone is super important there. But having protein-rich food and quality protein foods, like you see the chicken and the red meat, eggs, salmon, all that good quality protein will help you stay full and feel full. It'll satisfy that hunger. But not only will it satisfy it immediately, it will keep you satisfied for longer. So having protein in every meal, and at some point potentially if you need a snack or want a snack, that'll be a good thing to have include in there as well, because it helps you feel full longer. So on top of that, it helps, like I mentioned in the other talk, it helps a bunch of different functions, such as regulating hormones, processes for it creates help generate energy, and just maintains overall well-being. Most people don't eat enough protein, but it's so good for you to have because it helps build that muscle, which helps create a healthier body, a healthier person. Again, mainly we want to focus on those lean proteins and the whole proteins. Protein shakes won't really satisfy the hunger. They'll give you the protein that you need if you're not getting enough, but that won't satisfy the main underlying problem. Next part, we talked about this before as well, but building a balanced plate. So we talked about the plate method before, where half of your plate's veggies, a quarter of it's starch, a quarter of it is that protein. So we showed cartoon images of it. I wanted to show an actual plate method, right? This isn't the traditional half veggies, quarter, quarter, but it shows just the general idea. Like we got a protein on the left, and you can tell maybe it's a little fried, pan fried. Again, it's important to get the protein, even if it's not the healthiest way. So a little fried chicken, if that's what gets you your protein, cool. We'll start there, get us in the right direction. All right. And then veggies here, we talked about the importance of those, and then also those carbs. So the nice balanced plate between all of those is going to help regulate everything and make you feel full. And if you have three of those meals, or at least meals every 3 to 4 hours that look like this, chances are pretty low that you're going to get extremely hungry to the point where you're going to get hangry. So having that balanced plate throughout the day will be super important. And then you can also add in a snack in the middle, right? Maybe this plate only has a quarter of the vegetables that we need, but we can have a snack that has just veggies in it, right? Whether that's carrots or celery, again, with some kind of dip, whether that's mustard or ranch dressing or any of that stuff, right? Again, not for perfection here, but step further. So using the plate method, doing it every 3 to 4 hours will help keep our blood sugar level, keep us feel full for that entire time, and keep us from overeating. If we aren't full, we're going to overeat, but also keep us from getting moody, getting hangry in there. All right. The next part, and I think this is one of the tougher ones to do now, with phones and TVs and all that stuff, is that mindful eating. So it's so easy to lose track of time or getting stuck in meetings, and then you only have a window of 10 or 15 minutes to eat your lunch before the next meeting or next task that you have to go to. So being mindful and trying to slow down, eat slower, enjoy the meal a little bit more, that will help significantly because it brings awareness, it brings mindfulness of what you're eating. If you enjoy it more, you will tend to feel fuller and be more satisfied with the meal. So, how can we start doing that? Ideally, we can try to eliminate distractions, put yourself in a good spot, whether it's writing a little or bookmarking or scheduling a little conference room for yourself during a time period, right? If you can block a half hour off in your day where you're kind of away from your computer, maybe away from your cell phone or TVs or anything like that. If you have your cell phone, maybe put it on Do Not Disturb or add a little music from there. Again, we just want to focus on something that's not super distracting, an area where that is. Ideally, we could do it outside as well. I know it's winter time now, but doing it outside in the spring as it gets warmer, that would be good too. But just focusing on, getting a chewing a bunch before you swallow, taking breaks between bites, having a drink of water between bites, just slowing the eating process down will help improve that fullness, that satisfaction, and will allow you to carry on. And it just gives you kind of a little bit of meditation time, a little time away from all of the craziness. And then kind of building on that, so paying attention to the hunger level. So kind of thinking through this 1 to 10 scale, where one is like you haven't eaten all day, you maybe just worked out, and you're like famished. So it's like it says, get me some food now. That's the point where that hangriness is really starting to come through. And then to full, where, if you've gone to like an all you can eat buffet, I know when I was in high school after swim practice, we'd go to all you can eat buffet and just like we'd be so hungry, we'd be at that level 1 or 2, and you would just way overdo it to the other end where you just need to like curl up in the fetal position, lay in bed, and you don't want to move for the next hour. So we want to avoid both of those extremes and kind of sit somewhere in the middle. We want to start eating when we're at that 3 or 4 range where like you're kind of hungry, but you're not famished, but you're also not super full. So if you're kind of just, again, coming back to that mindfulness and being aware, if you're at that 3 or 4 level, eat something, right? Even if it's not technically a meal time, if you have a snack, again, celery or Greek yogurt or something like that, eat that and then stop eating once you get up to that 6 or 7 range. So it's a very small window, but you don't ever want to be so hungry or so full. So again, if that means you need to bring extra snacks, do that. All right. Or you need to do a bunch of smaller meals spread throughout the day, then do that as well. Whatever works for you. And you kind of have to play around with it, but it all starts with being more mindful, being more present, and being more aware of your hunger cues and your fullness cues. And it just takes a little bit of time to practice that. So when you some people maybe don't really know how to kind of sense some of those cues. So, take a look at your energy. Are you tired? Do you feel kind of sluggish? Is the brain a little bit foggy? Maybe you're a little bit of trouble concentrating or slow to process things. Maybe you're even getting a little bit headache, or even feeling a little lightheaded. Sometimes you can confuse with being thirsty as well. So that could be another key. Again, mood, we talked about, being angry, being irritable, on edge. And then stomach, if your stomach is growling, rumbling, right, probably too far into that hunger zone. So just kind of paying attention to some of those feelings, which may get confused again with being thirsty or maybe stress, but just trying to connect that and be more mindful and trying different things when you do feel those and see what helps it. Is it water? Is it a snack or anything like that? So just kind of paying attention to that as you work through, the next few weeks, kind of figuring that out. And then a couple frequently asked questions I'm going to see. So how often should I eat? Kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. Looking for those balanced meals, those plates, every 3 to 4 hours. Now that could be, maybe you said protein and carbs, and then an hour later you have your snack of veggies, if that's how you want to spread it out. But again, eating every 3 to 4 hours will help keep those blood sugar levels stable. And it'll prevent hunger from really escalating too much into that, 1, 2, 3 level range that we talked about earlier. Um, and then preparing balanced meals and snacks in advance. So trying to have that planned out. It doesn't need to be necessarily full meal prep, although I think that's the best way because then you don't have to think about it. But things like, salads, pre-cut fruits and vegetables, if you don't want to cut them yourself, grocery stores typically have them pre-cut ready to go. Just pay a little bit extra. Sometimes it's worth it. Having, portion nuts on hand, if you have homemade protein bars, that's better. A lot of the grocery stores have just really sugary ones. So, that again, if that's better than nothing, cool, let's do that. Another thing is, having portable options. So, like wraps, Greek yogurt cups, and then again, high quality protein bars, something that can be easily carried around. And then keeping snacks, I like having carrots, maybe have some hummus, yogurt cups. Again, just like having those things ready to go. So that way, if the hunger does start happening, you can kind of hit those really quick, again, between meetings and all that. Because I know time can get away from you pretty quickly, pretty easily. So, yeah, that is all of it. That being said, again, just like to hit on these couple of things. I am running Fit Fatherhood Facebook group with my business partner Nathaniel. So that's a free place for dads to get together and work on improving their health and fitness, adding some accountability, all that. And then also if you have any questions on anything, whether it's this or anything down the road that you come all across, whether it's general nutrition or fitness stuff, my Instagram, my Facebook, shoot me a message, shoot me a DM, and it's stuff I just looking to help spread my knowledge, give some tips, tricks, whatever I can, as much to help as much as possible. So, taking away from this, what can you do to kind of help uh, be more mindful of your hunger cues? So be more mindful of that. And then what can you start kind of preparing so that way when you do start feeling that hunger level rise, even if it's not mealtime, what kind of snack or what kind of small meal or balanced meal can we have to do that moving forward? So thank you all for jumping on, and for anybody watching in the future, hopefully this was helpful, and we can go into, if anybody has any questions, definitely shout them over. And if not, that's totally fine too.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate the information. That was really good. And you said, would we have access to the recordings if we want to kind of review this again?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'll do is I'll send a quick summary email tomorrow, ideally.
Okay.
And then I'll send that with links to all the other ones so you can watch them at your leisure. Again, they're usually about this long, 15,
Okay.
20 minutes. Try to keep them short. So if you watch it on 2 times 2,
Yeah.
it's like 8 minutes. You can kind of download it. Done.
Okay. No, awesome. Sounds good. Again, appreciate the information.
Yeah, definitely. I will. Daniel, do you have something?
Well, you sound like you were about to finish thought.
That was about the what?
You were
No,
you were
no,
about
you're
to
good.
finish a thought.
No,
I was listening. Are these going on a playlist on YouTube that you can? How are you? Okay.
yeah, that's what I'll do. I think I've sent the individual recordings in the past, but I don't think I included them all. So I kind of realized that as I was saying it. They'll all be on a playlist on YouTube that I'll send out.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool. All right.
Appreciate you,
Well,
man.
Jess, I will see you tomorrow night.
Sounds good, Zach. Thanks so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
And
What's tomorrow night?
so CrossFit has what's called the Open, and it's
Oh,
really
okay, I
like,
think you told me about this before.
yeah, it's a qualifying stage for really the games, which for most people that really isn't a thing. But it's really just a way to get the community to all do the same workouts, and you can sign up for it and enter your score. So they announce the workout at 3 weeks. They announce a workout on Thursday. You have until Monday at midnight to do it and submit your score. And then it ranks you based on everybody else in the world, in the country, in the region, and stuff like that. So it's a 3 week thing. So what we do is we don't make people sign up for that necessarily, but we do it in house where we do the workout, but we do it all on Friday night. So we break the gym or whoever signs up into 4 teams, and you get points for showing up to like classes throughout the week, for wearing your
Okay.
t-shirt, the custom t-shirts that we get. You get points for just doing the workout. And then there's a spirit award we give each week for one of the teams who people they dress up in costumes and all of that stuff. So that's the next 3 weeks. So the first workout got released today. So we do that on Friday nights. And so me and another coach run it.
Do you find that most people that are going to CrossFit are like pretty taking themselves seriously,
No.
like taking their diet? I wonder if
Um,
there's
taking like every like all their I think they're better than most people. I think most people try to outwork the diet and they think going to CrossFit's going to get them ripped, and so they kind of slack on the diet part. um our gym is certainly not a competitive gym. We our average age is probably, I think I did it one time, I think our average age of our members 42 or 44.
okay. Yeah, so
So
maybe not our. I was just thinking, like, is there some sort of uh, not necessarily collab, but an opportunity? But if the average age is 42, it's probably not as many ideal. Because I'm out of the norm being 40 and having three little kids.
yeah. I've talked to kind of the gym, the owners. I mean, I've been friends with them for almost 20 years now.
Okay.
But I think the thing is like they sell nutrition, like one-on-one nutrition coaching,
Yeah, yeah, true.
like through the gym. So like I can't, like I feel like it'd almost be like poaching.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's
it's conflicting
that's
with just yeah.
so that's the
Although,
only
yeah,
thing.
like the way you're explaining, like it's pretty community.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is like some you know, CrossFit. Every now and then, Brittany gets fun. Oh, yeah, okay. Just like,
Yeah, she goes to our gym, Jess. She's a
yeah,
member of ours.
okay. So you guys, oh, so for the like qualification, there's got to be somebody there to say, oh yeah, this guy did actually did
Yeah, yeah. So technically, the other guy that runs it with me, he's registered. He's in a like he goes through the judges course, so
that. Okay.
he would qualify our scores, or like whatever, approve the scores in the website. So people submit them, and they have score sheets for us. So we judge each other. We're not technically like whatever it's called, registered judges. We didn't go through the course, but he oversees everything, and he'll double check the score sheets with what somebody entered in. And then me and him walk around, just make sure that the judges are upholding everybody to the same standard. Is really the thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
somebody. But then there's another stage, right? So if somebody faked it, like even if they had their judge just say, yeah, whatever, and like they ranked in the top thing, the next stage they would get weeded out because then it's like official judges.
Okay. Where do you, I know you're not like, I mean, you're pretty competitive though, it seems like. Where do you, I know that you're not like fucking ESPN CrossFit Games, but
Yeah, so I'm usually in the top 10%
oh yeah, okay.
of the world. So
Yeah, it's pretty legit though.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's for not really like, I mean, I work out like 5 or 6 days a
Yeah,
week. I wouldn't say I'm
yeah,
training for it, but yeah, I usually it's
yeah.
fun.
But it's like that stuff is those guys that are leading that. That's another. That's another.
Yeah, I mean the women are lifting as much as I am at that level.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
Yeah,
It's so crazy. Like I've watched it when it first started airing on ESPN. I watched them a little bit. Like wait, that guy just did like 30 freaking cleans and then ran 50 yards back and forth and like what the hell? And they do that 6 times. No
Yeah, that's what
way.
the founder of CrossFit, Greg Glassman, he was a gymnast. And typically
Okay.
gymnasts are the best at it. They're like people who were gymnasts or like weightlifters usually translates the best. But his
Okay.
Greg Glassman, the founder, his thing was he wanted somebody to deadlift 600 pounds and run a sub 6 minute mile. And people are like, you're crazy. Like people can't do that. And like people are doing it. Like people did it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, that's just power of power of people telling you no.
right. Right. I mean, it's one of those
Yeah.
things where it's like what the 4 minute mile thing. Like once somebody broke the 4 minute mile, like within a month, like five other people did it.
Yeah. Arnold talked about that from a bench press perspective in that book. I forget what it was called, like 7 Rules for Life or something. But for the longest time, nobody could bench press 500 pounds. It was like a similar thing to that 4 minute run. And all of a sudden, one person did it, and he's like, "I'm up to 570 now." Really? Yeah. So I got. I gotta go back to the Zuma. We'll see you over there.
Yep. Yep. I'll see it.